Welcome to the Candidate Forum for the Carol Stream Park District. My name is Linda Given-Lessick, a member of the Wheaton League of Women Voters and your moderator this evening. I live in unincorporated South Wheaton, so I will not be voting for any of the candidates participating in the forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government and civic discourse. Providing opportunities to meet candidates is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so voters can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are looking forward to a respectful exchange this evening focused on the issues. We all benefit from a civil exchange of ideas rather than personal attacks. Our goal for the forum is that it will inform and inspire rather than divide. We do hope that the candidates will speak about their goals and plans and refrain from speaking about another candidate or what another candidate has or has not done. Participating in tonight's forum for the Carol Stream Park District Board of Trustees are Catherine Becker, Adam Parisi, and Brett Sprague. The format tonight is in fact a forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions. All candidates attending tonight have signed and returned a ground rules agreement by the deadline established in the invitation from the League. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. It also specifies that candidates may not use any portion of the recorded forum, including partial transcripts of the forum, in campaign advertisements, including on their website, on social media, or other political advertising material. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order by position with their 1-minute opening statements. They will then alternate the order in which they answer questions for 1 minute. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement, again in our alternating rotation pattern. A member of the League will be acting as our timer, and I will enforce the time limits. Candidates will see a slide to let you know, or rather a sign to let you know that you have 30 seconds and then 15 seconds and then stop. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. To ensure that questions for tonight's forum represent a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters has reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness and to avoid duplication. We are grateful to those in the community who have taken the time to learn more about the candidates before casting their vote by attending and watching the candidate forums. For those in attendance this evening, we ask that you listen attentively, turn off your phones and electronic devices, avoid commenting or disrupting others during the forum, and refrain from applause until the very end. Finally, I want to say how appreciative we are to the candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who agreed to be here tonight to share their ideas and goals. So with that, let's get started. Candidate Becker, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you. Hello, I have had the privilege to live in Carol Stream since 2018. I moved here not long after graduating with my bachelor's degree from Illinois State University, and I worked in the Parks Department at the Park District for about 4 or 5 years. It was my first job after college, and I was their horticulturist and certified arborist. So I know the parks really well. And it was while working here, I noticed and saw what a close-knit community that this is, and I've been here ever since. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Adam Parisi. I've lived in Carroll Stream for the last 13 years. I'm married with 3 children, a boy who's 13, boy who's 12, and a daughter who's 8. All of my kids use the Park District activities and programs. They've been heavily involved, which has kind of spearheaded my involvement in the board. In my professional life, I'm the CFO of a school district, so I interact with park districts on the other end in a lot of different capacities. And I have been was appointed to an open position on the Park District Board last May, and so I've had some experience interacting with the structure and the individuals in the system. I want to be able to maintain a level of fiscal responsibility and improve our facilities and programs for our kids and our community.
Candidate Sprague, your opening statement, please.
Thank you, Linda and the League of Women Voters, for having us out tonight. I am born and raised in Carroll Stream, so I've been here for over 30 years. Having grown up here in this park district, I participated in a ton of programs growing up in various facilities. When I was in high school, my first job was as a lifeguard at Coral Cove Water Park, and I ended up working for the park district both part-time and full-time for over 11 years. During that time, I earned my degree in Parks and Recreation Administration from Illinois State University, and I continue to work in the field of recreation management still today. With 20 years of experience in the field, I feel like serving in this capacity as a Park District Commissioner really gives me an opportunity to give back to the community that's given so much to me. All this to say is, I have been and always will be heavily invested in the Park District.
Thank you. The first question is for candidate Parisi. Why are you running for the Board of Trustees?
So I think two big areas of mine are about the programs and about the facilities. Having a background in finance and facilities, I know how important it is to keep the assets fresh and in a way that all of our constituents can use them, and just want to be able to utilize that. In addition to my professional knowledge, in addition to my kids and just family knowledge of seeing what brings joy to them, I want to be able to continue that and bring joy to the other families in our community.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague.
Yeah, like I mentioned in my opening statement, I felt like this was an opportunity for me to give back to the community that has given so much to me, and a park district that I, got the opportunity to work at kind of growing up and gave me my start. My goal, again, I've worked in the field of parks and recreation for over 20 years now, is I'm an advocate for recreation services for all of our community members, young, old, everyone in between. I think that everyone deserves the opportunity to be able to get out there and participate and do what is going to serve them, whether that's a paid program, something as a drop-in, it's a facility, a park, a path. There's so many different avenues that the Park District has to offer. And like I said, I want to be somebody that's going to advocate for everyone in the community.
Thank you. Candidate Becker.
From my experience working at the Park District, I've seen how parks and the programs are a place where people in town can come together. It helps to build a community, and I think my presence on the board would bring a balance and voice to our parks and facilities based on my background and experience. It's really important to be maintaining our parks, and I'm just a big advocate for our native areas and our arboriculture, and it's just something that I do at work. So I have a lot of background educationally and formally, as well as working for the Park District.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, what is the most significant issue currently facing the district? And if elected, how do you plan to address that issue?
I would say that the most significant issue is the continued maintenance of the district's long-term assets. So we're talking about, Fountain View Recreation Center, Simkus Recreation Center, McCaslin, which are obviously what, kind of in the Park District world we would term as like flagship facilities. So making sure that we're investing the right amount of money into those facilities to ensure that they're going to last us for the next 20, 30, 40 years, and continue to maintain and generate revenue for the Park District. Because in a lot of cases, that's something that is going to help support other areas of programming where maybe we don't, we can't charge the same amount that you would charge for a program because, you're trying to grow something and provide an opportunity in an area that has been underserved, and so by using those revenue generating facilities, that's the opportunity to serve other areas as well.
Thank you. Candidate Becker.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What do you think is the most significant issue currently facing the district? And if elected, how do you plan to address that issue?
I'm going to echo what Brett has just spoken, that it's our maintenance on our facilities, on our parks. We have a lot of infrastructure out there, and the cost of things and maintaining these certified systems in our playgrounds is just increasing. So planning ahead is going to be very, very important to our future success, keeping in mind that park districts, they're part of their money comes from revenue, not just tax dollars. So I would echo that our facilities, Fountain View, Simkus, playgrounds in town need updating. That's going to be a challenge going forward.
Candidate Parisi, same question.
And you're probably going to hear a similar answer. The maintaining the facilities and being strategic about that, knowing that there's only, so many dollars to be passed around. We have a number of flagship facilities that were already mentioned, and we need to make sure that we update those appropriately, with keeping in mind that we're always trying to attract either our younger families or also neighboring communities, who many neighboring communities will utilize our facilities because of the world-class nature of them. So we want to continue to just be strategic with our dollars and operationally put the dollars where they'll impact us the most.
Thank you. All of you must have read my mind and anticipated my next question, because I wanted you to talk a little bit about the state of the district's facilities, and what facilities specifically do you think need to be improved, expanded, or constructed, and also how would you pay for those improvements? Candidate Becker.
Thank you. I think there's work that needs to be done at Fountain View as far as maintaining floors. It is a newer facility, but that's going to be important moving forward, is to be maintaining that and its HVAC system as well. There's only a couple companies in the U.S. who maintain that system, so that's going to be a challenge as well. Could you repeat the question?
Yes,
sorry.
I just wanted to do a deeper dive into what facilities in particular you think need to be improved, expanded, or constructed, and how would the district pay for them?
Okay. I would say, and thank you, maintaining what we have is going to be really important, and just going with that. I think we have a lot of great facilities for our town, so I wouldn't recommend expanding, but continuing to put money away for these improvements now is going to help out down the line.
Candidate Parisi.
So both two of our larger facilities, McCaslin and Armstrong, are two outdoor facilities that are in pretty good shape. They get a lot of use, both throughout the entire fall, summer, and spring, and we want to be able to maintain those facilities. So sometimes with that, we need to think outside the box, get creative with some revenue streams from concession stands, reach out to some public-private partnerships. We know that there are community partners in the area that are willing to work on sponsorships, and we want to explore those. In the same way, our indoor facilities, our larger ones, Fountain View and Simkiss. Fountain View is a newer facility, yet in the same way, we need to think outside the box and find a way to strategically work on sponsorships and find a way to really utilize those to the utmost.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague.
Yeah, so it's very interesting because I walk through the facilities when my kids are participating in programs, and I see how packed they are every single time I'm there, whether we're there on a Saturday morning or Friday night. It's every room is filled with something that's going on, and so I think that continuing to evaluate where there's opportunities to continue to maximize the spaces that we have, but then, are there opportunities where we can either partner with a school district or someplace in order to provide additional recreation space for our continuously growing programs, or, at some point, do we need to look at potentially purchasing or leasing, adding additional space so that we can host those programs in-house? I think that a key area for doing this is potentially looking at state grants in order to acquire some of those funds to support the district as well.
Thank you. The next question, we're going to start with candidate Parisi. Switching from the district's facilities now to the district's programs, what is your view of the state of the district's programs? What programming needs should either be curtailed or expanded? And again, how would they be paid for?
So overall, I would say that there's a lot of programs, variety for kids and adults, the wide range of the spectrum. I think this is where we need to find a way to go out in the community and listen, figure out what the needs are that maybe the park district and our board is not really aware of. Each, going with like pickleball and other activities, like there's new creative ideas that are out there, and I think we just have to put our brains together and listen to what other options that maybe we are not utilizing, that we're not aware of, that we want to enhance and bring to our programming.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, what are your thoughts on programs?
Yeah, I do think that our programming is extremely strong, and I know I had a conversation with a neighbor of ours who just moved in about 6 months ago from another state, and they looked at our program guide and said, wow, you have over 100 pages of different offerings. That's amazing. So just continuing to look at, I know like youth sports is a very big thing in this town, but not every kid is a sports participant in this town. Some people want to be involved with arts or theater, and we need to make sure that we're continuing to serve those areas as well. So like Commissioner Parisi talked about a little bit is, continuing to survey our community and see what they need, what they're wanting, and then building programming around that supports the needs and wants of this community.
Thank you. Candidate Becker, same question on the programming of the district.
I would tend to agree. We have very strong programming in this park district. I would know I try and do some of the adult programs as far as like adult gymnastics. I tried that out and that was amazing. There's an amazing group of girls in town who come to that. I do agree when I was talking to people getting signatures for my petition and just knocking on doors that youth sports and youth programming comes up a lot. There's always requests for more sports fields. So I think if we can find ways to increase our fields, we would be able to accommodate potentially more sports, more games. But yeah, I think we have very strong programming, and we can just continue to expand on that and make sure we have room, field space, and instructor availability for continuing what we're doing.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, the next question is for you, and several of you have already alluded to this in your remarks. Do you support, and how would you encourage partnerships with the local school districts, businesses, and nonprofits to enhance park programming?
Yeah, so we do, as a district, already have many partnerships that are in place, especially with our school districts. We have partnerships with the Village of Carroll Stream. But we can continue to reach out to other park districts or other recreation departments in the area because I know there are things that like we specialize in here or that we have facilities available for here at the park district that other districts might not have. Like Glendale Heights doesn't have an indoor pool, so we have a partnership with them related to the indoor pool. As looking at other towns to say, all right, what can we offer to support your residents and what can you offer to support our residents so that there is this exchange of services to continue to expand the offerings that we are able to provide to our district of things that maybe we just don't have the capability of offering based on, kind of the area that we live in.
Thank you. Candidate Becker, can you address your opinions about partnerships with the schools, businesses, and nonprofits in the area?
Yes, I think partnering with school districts and other neighboring park districts would be a fantastic idea. I know we do that a little bit as far as using like gym space, but it would be really good to have us as commissioners just encourage park district employees and us ourselves to create relationships and go out and meet people at community events and be involved in volunteering so that we can help create these opportunities for potential sponsorships and gathering together and helping each other as community members and local communities.
Candidate Parisi, same question.
So when it comes to school districts, other park districts, municipalities, we want to continue to utilize our intergovernmental agreements and find a way that it's mutually beneficial to both parties. The park district already does that on a number of different levels, and we want to continue to do that. In the same way, we will use our networking and use our relationships to go out in the community and find where there is a partnership that is beneficial on both ends, in addition to really utilizing those partnerships that we have with our affiliates and those affiliate agreements to be able to enhance those to the greatest extent possible.
Thank you. Candidate Becker. We're switching gears here a little bit, and we're going to have a few questions about the district's current financial picture. What is your view of the district's current financial situation, including its tax rate and outstanding debt?
I believe that the current, could you repeat that?
Certainly. What is your view of the district's current financial picture, including its tax rate and outstanding debt?
So we currently have debt for a couple of the large facilities, Fountain View and McCaslin, that we're still paying off. As far as current budgets, they're doing really well with converting money over into the capital fund. So that's really positive, as well as they're getting revenue from a lot of the programming, such as McCaslin, so very positive.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, your view of the district's current financial situation.
Definitely, I would agree. Financially, the district's in a very good place. Going back to just a few years ago where COVID significantly impacted the park district, even going back to, pre-bonding the Fountain View Recreation Center, there were a number of times when the revenue was just not coming in to the greatest extent possible. I would say we're very proud of what has happened in the last few years. Tax rate is reasonable compared to our neighboring districts. We do have some debt obligations, but nothing that is too out of the ordinary, and the debt is for something, some very good facilities that we invested in, that we'll continue to invest in. Revenue's continuing to increase, and we're always looking for other ways to increase revenue, either through grant opportunities or just making sure that our the price that we charge our families is reasonable.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, same question.
Yeah, in reviewing this past year's financial report a few weeks ago, I took a look at it. I did notice that the Park District has been trending in a positive direction, so we are seeing the Park District, ending up in the positive side in terms of the end of the year. Like candidate Becker mentioned earlier, we're taking some of that money and we're rolling it over into capital improvement projects in order to maintain those long-term facilities like most of us have mentioned from the beginning here. So it is very important that we continue to trend in that direction. Love to see that the staff are doing a great job in moving our participants through and providing them positive experiences in order to generate that revenue for the district.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, staying on finances a little bit longer, do you foresee the district having to go to referendum in the near future for a bond issue or for a tax rate increase?
Based on the information that I have up until this point, I would say it doesn't look like we're trending in that direction. We are, as mentioned earlier, we're financially in a good place, and we're looking at multiple opportunities to continue and sustain that. So I do not see that happening in the near future.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, same question.
Likewise, I do not see any time in the short-term future that we would be going to referendum or have need to do that. The Park District is in a good financial position. And again, we have long-term facilities that are already in place, which is typically when you're going to need to go to referendum is when you have to raise a large quantity of money in a quick amount of time.
Thank you. Candidate Becker.
I've been attending board meetings since last year and following along with that, and I do not see a need or a reason that they would be going for referendum in the near future.
Thank you. Okay, Candidate Sprague. Are there any improvements needed to enhance accessibility for persons with disabilities, seniors, or underserved populations?
Yeah, I know a big one that is on the table and has been on the table in recent years is continuing to make playgrounds ADA accessible. And so that does take a long time when you have a large quantity of playgrounds in a district the size of Carroll Streams, that's not an overnight project. So continuing to look at something like that as we're looking down the line and creating master plans and 5-year strategic plans is to say, okay, when can we put these playgrounds on these timelines, because that is something that can be accessed by the entire community. And even if there's people outside of the Carroll Stream community that see that we're providing that service and that opportunity, they're going to want to come into this community, and maybe they want to come and live in this community and be a part of it as well.
Thank you. Candidate Becker.
Could you refresh my memory with the question?
Certainly. Do you think there are any improvements that the district needs to implement to enhance accessibility for people with disabilities, seniors, or underserved populations?
I would agree that our playgrounds are aging, and there's new surfacing material, artificial surface, that's being used now. We've started transferring over some of our park playgrounds to that, such as Cambridge and Walters Park, but we can continue to do that with a number of other playgrounds in town. As far as accessibility and programming for seniors, just reaching out to them. I know a lot of seniors really enjoy the bus trips and the just opportunity to do things outside that they maybe couldn't access on their own. So continuing to do that and make that accessible for seniors as well would be great.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, same question.
So first of all, on the positive end, there's a lot of things that the Park District has done to make good strides and steps, working with our Special Recreation Association and making sure that those opportunities arise from the programmatic standpoint. And then similar to what was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of ADA accessible areas that we have put into place. However, as always in both indoor and outdoor facilities, it is not 100% where we want to be at this point. It takes, time and dedication and funds to be able to do that. So we want to make sure, as part of our cycle, our refresh, our operational opportunities, we want to make sure that we're continuing to do that and always have that in the front of our mind when we're strategically planning out for facility and other long-range work.
Thank you. Candidate Becker, what steps would you take to make the Park District more environmentally friendly and sustainable?
Great question. I'm all about sustainability and being environmentally friendly. I think out in our parks, we can add pollinators and more trees. It's needed. We don't have any tree planting programs, and I think that's a great way to start and to get the community involved in learning that these things are very important. It would even be cool to offer some programming as far as what's out there in our parks for pollinators and trees, because there's so much that people are walking by that they don't know about. So I think that would be one way as far as out in our parks where we could be, environmentally friendly by continuing to add these things.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, same question.
So sustainability is a big important part, big emphasis, and I think this is where we could maybe partner with our school districts and other municipalities from an educational standpoint about teaching our young people about the importance of sustainability, composting, talking about what other opportunities there are out there with renewable energy. We might not be able to put those items into the Park District right away, but through our programs, we can use it from an educational standpoint and teach about that, which will have long-term benefits. Not to mention tapping into our veterans, our seniors, and other individuals in the community that have that expertise, so we can kind of get back to make it as well-rounded as possible.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, same question.
Yeah, the Park District did take a very large step about 12 years ago when Fountain View was constructed, because Fountain View is a LEED certified building, which is a big deal. And I believe it was one of the first 2 Park District buildings in the state of Illinois that received that certification. So that building really was set up from the beginning to be long-term sustainable. And then in addition to that, everyone kind of talked about it in terms of continuing to provide education to our community on opportunities. But then, is there opportunities for us to look at, I know the term renewable energy is a big thing right now, and is kind of a quickly developing market. Are there opportunities where the Park District could get involved in that in order to, again, help sustain our buildings and facilities? Just something we'll have to look into.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, the next question will start with you. Continuing on this theme of the environment, given that the district is so highly developed, how would you expand natural areas and green space in the district?
That's a good question. It's also a challenge. As we know, there are not many opportunities to continue to purchase land and find a way to enhance that land. However, with the land that the district already owns, we want to be able to find ways that we can be creative and see what options there are for us in those areas.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, your thoughts about expanding natural areas and green space?
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you're in a position where you're somewhat landlocked. There's not a lot of space around Carroll Stream to continue to acquire land like candidate Parisi mentioned. But again, can we be creative? I know that in Armstrong Park, they've gone through and in certain areas, they've taken it from where it used to be just natural turf to now they're putting in kind of these nature areas, which is twofold. It's, it helps with sustainability, but then it also eases up some of the costs in terms of maintaining that park, because rather than that having to be a space that's mowed constantly, now that is a space that is growing and developing on an annual basis into kind of these natural prairie lands. So I think if we looked at some of the parks and spaces that we have existing to say, hey, where can we develop these kind of natural areas, I think that would be an interesting area for us to go to.
Thank you. Candidate Becker, same question.
I want to start off by saying that natural and native areas do not mean no maintenance. I've seen that firsthand being the horticulturist for the district. We have a lot, I think it's about 200 acres of native area, and I think we need to focus, instead of expanding, on maintaining the quality of the native areas that we currently have. There are some invasives that have gotten in over the years, and I think time and focus, instead of really expanding too much on native areas, would be to go back and be maintaining the ones that we currently already have. As far as green space too, I know that can be challenging. Everybody wants more youth sports fields and places to play soccer and baseball. We have a lot of low-laying land, so while some areas may seem, oh hey, you could put a field there, you can't. So that's going to be just a challenge moving forward. If there's areas that we can acquire in town to maybe increase our green space a little bit, but we are landlocked, so that's something that we'll have to be creative with moving forward.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, how will you promote collegiality on the Board of Trustees and transparency within the community?
Interesting question. Well, I know that the current board works very well together, and if I were elected to the board, I would want to continue to maintain those positive relationships, not just between myself and any new candidates that might be elected, but also working to learn from current commissioners who have been on the board for extended periods of time and have a lot of knowledge to offer to those of us who are going to be coming in new to this. In terms of transparency, we as a district don't have anything to hide. So if you want to know something, please call us, email us. If you want it in an official FOIA request, submit an official FOIA request. But the district's not here to hide anything. We're here to be stewards of your taxpayer dollars. So please ask us questions. We're here to answer them.
Thank you. Candidate Becker, same question.
I am a firm believer that you need to earn respect. I've been going to board meetings since last year. I know we have a lot of board members who have been there for a good number of years, volunteering their time. So I wanted to prove that I was serious about this, and I think that's like the first good way is to earn people's respect and work hard. As far as transparency, I started a Facebook page. I don't know if any of you out there follow me, but I've worked really hard to share summaries of meetings and anything that's going on in the district on that page, just to help make information easy to access in these busy times that we have, and we're busy in our lives. Thank you.
Candidate Parisi.
So currently the park board gets along really well. There's a lot of personalities. We were able to have very good conversations. However, we're at a transition time where we have two long-serving commissioners that are going to be rolling off. And so regardless of who wins this election, the board that's going to be installed, in a few weeks here is going to look a lot different. So transparency is a good thing, because in a park district like this, we're able to be very transparent and open. All of our meetings are open. All of our financials and meeting minutes are posted online. But we will have to continue to reach out and interact with the community to make sure that they feel that level of openness and honesty and transparency, so they feel like their needs are met.
Thank you. Just a couple more questions, unless there are questions from the audience this evening. We'll start with Candidate Becker. What is your vision for the district in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the next 5 to 10 years, I see the park district and the parks filled with trees, filled with high-quality native areas and providing a lot of high-quality programming for the residents, which, like I said previously, is a fantastic place where people in town can come together and meet neighbors across town and make memories. So I just see us continuing forward. The people who've been on the board now and the people who work at the Park District have taken time and set out an awesome groundwork for us to continue on with. And I just see that continuing and a great green future.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, your vision.
The Carroll Stream Park District has a very good reputation, not only within town, but in neighboring communities. And I see the district continuing to move forward and enhance the programs and enhance the facilities. A few weeks ago, the current board sat through a strategic planning process, which was very eye-opening, where we were really prioritizing where we were going to be moving forward. And a lot of great ideas, a lot of tough decisions moving forward. But as far as us continuing to exceed expectations, I think the opportunities are endless, and we really want to just be able to get out there and continue to make this the best district it can be. And we can do it.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, your vision.
So 5 to 10 years, definitely a long time. So maximizing, I would say number one is maximizing the current assets and facilities that we have and making sure that we're utilizing them to their full potential. And then beyond that, continuing to work with the staff to have them evaluate and survey and make sure that, as the world of recreation and parks changes, that the Park District evolves with it, because nothing stands still nowadays. So we have to continue to make sure we're staying involved with the trends and emerging markets. I know that the board in the last couple of years put in pickleball courts because they saw that was something that was not only growing but seemed like it's here to stay for a long time. It can be tough to follow trends because you don't want to jump on something and have it disappear, a year or two later. But I think we're doing the right things.
Okay, thank you. We do have some questions from the audience this evening, and Candidate Parisi, we'll start with you. This individual says, I haven't heard much about improving programs for seniors, especially to be financially accessible. Can you address that, please?
I will try my best at this time. I know that we have lots of programs in the district. We have a lot of opportunities in the district. I'm hearing from going back to listening, which is a very important part. I'm hearing from the question that there's an impression out there that we are not providing as much as we should, which means that we have to do a better job of that, which means we need to engage our senior community in a way so that we can figure out what we're not doing and find a way to improve upon that. Situations like this are excellent. A forum like this is how we get ideas and generate feedback, and we want to be able to listen. And maybe that means we'll be doing more public forums or a public forum every so often so that we can really get that feedback, because that is so important to listen to your residents and provide.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague, the question is financial accessibility and improving programs for seniors.
So I think senior programming, dating back to kind of when I started in the industry, was largely viewed as, a lot of times it was trips and those types of things. But we see nowadays that there's a term called aging in place. They want to stay where they've been their whole lives, and they want to continue to spend, the rest of their life in that town that they, again, have given so much to. And so we need to look at, as we see people age in place and continue to live in this town, is what areas beyond just trips? Should we be offering, we offer youth sports and we offer adult sports. Should we be offering senior sports? Should we be offering, lessons in different areas to these different to this different level of the community? And when we're introducing those new offerings, that's going to be an opportunity where we're going to just take the time to evaluate what the pricing structure would be on something like that.
Thank you. Candidate Becker.
I really appreciate this question. I want to be a commissioner who is here to represent everybody equally. So I think moving forward, there should be some kind of survey to that community as far as needs and what they're looking for and what could be helpful to them. Like Brett had mentioned, like maybe they are wanting sports, maybe they're wanting more programming at Fountain View that would be geared towards them. Really good question, and I definitely appreciate that being brought to us and my attention.
Okay, thank you. Another question from the audience, and Candidate Sprague, we'll start with you. In the past, the families whose children are part of the Glen Ellen School District were charged as non-residents even though their address is Carol Stream. Do we still do this, and why?
I guess I'll start off by saying I'm probably not the best person to answer this question. This would be a question that should probably go through the financial department at the Park District because I don't know the exact boundaries of that. If you review your tax bill and it says on your tax bill that you pay taxes to the Carol Stream Park District, then you should be receiving Carol Stream Park District rates. That's how taxing bodies generally work. Again, without seeing the specifics, it is a difficult question for me to answer. But again, whoever raised the question, I would encourage you to reach out to the staff at the Park District because they could definitely help clarify that for you.
Thank you. Candidate Becker.
Yeah, I would say that Park District boundaries do not always follow town. I know there's parts of Winfield that are within Carol Stream Park District. I think there might be a few houses in Bartlett as well. But just know that just because your address might be Carol Stream doesn't necessarily mean you'd be a part of this Park District. But as Brett said, I would encourage you to reach out to the Park District just to get more clarity on that for you.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi.
Sadly, I don't know the answer. Wish I knew the answer. But with that being said, we want to be able to get that answer for you. Best individual that'd be able to do that right now would be staff. But if there was a situation where there were benefits that were given to a certain area that were for some reason no longer extended to those areas, I think it's fair to provide some sort of rationale to figure out why, and you're entitled to figure that out. But again, staff at this moment would be the best individual that could help you with that, and we can go back and find that out for us later. But thank you for the question.
Okay, another question from the audience, and we'll start with Candidate Becker. Do you support diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how will you ensure that programs are inclusive?
Yes, I do support diversity, equity, and inclusion. At this time, I think it'd be best for me to think about other ways and how we could include in the Park District, but I think just knowing that the Park District is for everybody, everybody's welcome. But yeah, that's a really good question, and that's something I will definitely think about moving forward.
Candidate Parisi.
So let me step back and say that, I used to be a social studies teacher, so there's a lot of, historical background in the way that I interpret the world. I think diversity, equity, inclusion, and DEI in the political sense has, kind of taken a turn that maybe is not what was intended or the intention at this point. We want everyone to be included. We want everyone. We want programs to be equitable. We want to make sure that we're providing for all of our community members and treating everyone fairly and equally, and just want to be upfront about that because we know that there's been, a different political tone that is a reality out there, and I don't want to ignore that, but we want to make sure that everyone feels included because as a Park District, that's what we all want.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague.
simple answer, yes. I'm in favor and support of diversity, equity, inclusion. It goes back to part of my opening statement where I said I am an advocate for recreation services for everyone. Now, how do we deliver that to everyone? I know that the Park District currently, has a scholarship program that is in place to help individuals who might not be able to afford some of the services, and that the scholarship program is largely supported by the foundation, which goes out of its way to make sure that there are funds available when somebody says, hey, we're having a hard time, but we want to be able to continue to participate, whether it's a child, an adult. Again, it's recreation services for everyone. The taxpayer dollars come from everyone. Everyone should be able to participate.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Parisi, another question from the audience. How do you plan on staying in touch with residents if you were to get voted in?
So I know the district as a whole has a very robust communication method. We've again, going back to the strategic planning process, we talked about how important communication is and making sure that we are always communicating. As an individual commissioner, I think it goes back to those listening sessions, whether that's as a board of 7, going back into out in the parks and being able to be out in the community to listen to the needs, because that's so important. So I want to be able to make sure that we have a two-way method of communication, not only what we put out to the residents, but make sure that as individuals we're able to listen.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, how do you plan to stay in touch with residents if you get voted in?
Yeah, my goal as a commissioner would be to be out in the community, be active, be at our facilities, be at our parks, and make sure that people understand that I'm somebody that they can come to at any point in time to have a conversation with. And that has been an interesting part of the experience of running for this position, is you have these conversations with residents, whether you're in a park district facility or you run into somebody out at a restaurant and they have something that's on their mind and they want to tell you. And most of the time they want somebody that's going to listen and hear what they have to say. Even if you don't have an answer for them right now, it's, hey, I can take that information. And again, in the position I'm in right now, if I get elected, then I will have the ability to have those conversations and bring that information forward, that this is a concern that somebody in this community has, and be able to share that with the rest of our board members and with staff as well.
Candidate Becker.
I think that's one of the things that I am most interested in with being a commissioner. Like, I want to be out in the community, out in the parks, volunteering in town, out at events. I've really enjoyed running my social media page. I can see that expanding into other versions of social media other than Facebook. But I want to be out there. I want to represent everybody. And I just... yeah, being out and being active is a great way, and being accessible. So,
thank you. Okay, the last question for the evening. What specific talents do you bring to the Park District Board? And we'll start with Candidate Sprague. And again, this is a question from the audience.
So specific talents, like I said, my background and my entire professional career is in Parks and Recreation Administration. I went to college for it. I worked for this park district for 11 years doing it. My specific background is in safety and aquatic management, facility management. I've managed multiple pools, ice rinks, multi-purpose recreation centers, concession stands, paddle boats. I've dealt with a lot of different operations, and I'm very in tune with how these different operations function, and that makes me feel like I'll understand where our staff is coming from as a commissioner, and I'll be relatable to them and understanding when they come to us and they have concerns or they want to bring things to our attention, because I always want to feel like the boards that I'm working for, they're listening to us as well.
Thank you. Candidate Becker.
yes. So my background and my education is from Illinois State University. I got a degree in horticulture and landscape management. I was the first girl in the Parks Department. I was their horticulturist and certified arborist. I bring a lot of those talents and I would bring them to the board. That's my area of expertise is native areas, trees, turf, athletic fields. I've done maintenance on those. So I have a solid foundation to bring to this position as far as working for a park district before, so I know the inner workings. But that's just something that is unique to me and I think would bring a voice to the board to represent the parks and the playgrounds.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi.
So professionally, I've spent my entire 26-year career in public education as a teacher, assistant principal, and CFO. As CFO, I oversee finances and facilities of school districts where there are many similarities to the park districts, overseeing accounting, audits, payroll, long-term capital improvements, referendums, bond issues, and so I'm really familiar with the ins and outs of that. And the educational standpoint, it's all about programming and making sure that the programming fits the needs of the community. So I feel like I have lots of experience with that. On the personal side, I'm a father. I've coached my own kids in their sports and activities. I've coached for the park district in many different aspects, and so just wanted to be able to take all of those experiences and bring those back as a commissioner.
Thank you. And it is now time for closing statements. Candidates, you have 1 minute for your closing statement. And since the last question started with candidate Sprague, we'll start with candidate Becker for your closing statement, please.
Well, I just want to thank all of you for being here tonight, and I thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this. It's been an experience. Definitely my first time with a forum setting, so I appreciate you bearing with me. I'm here, and I love our parks. I love our town. I love our facilities. Our park district is amazing. It brings so many people together, and I would be honored to earn your vote, and I would help keep the residents as informed as possible. I just have enjoyed this entire experience, and I do think that my background is unique and would bring a unique voice to the board.
Thank you. Candidate Parisi, your closing statement.
So echo the sentiments of thanking everyone in this room for either attending or helping to put this on. Being a current commissioner, over this last year, I've enjoyed my time on the board and getting to know the ins and outs. I know a little bit. I don't know it all just yet. Hoping to be able to earn your vote and be able to continue that. And just, in this short time, really seeing the needs. We do a lot of great things, and that's evident. But we can always do better, and just being strategic about how we're going to do better. From a programming perspective, facilities, reaching out, communication, making sure that we're listening, making sure that we're doing the very best. And that's what I'm hoping to be here for, and we'll continue to do that as long as I have the opportunity to.
Thank you. Candidate Sprague.
Like everyone else said, thank you to everyone for being here tonight. Thank you for those that asked questions from the audience, because that truly shows us, again, where your guys' mind is at and what issues you feel are pressing. So thank you for coming forward with those. Again, my background and professional experience is in Parks and Recreation, so I feel like I bring a unique aspect to being a board member. And like I said earlier, being able to understand staff and understand operations and what's going on, and being supportive of our staff and our community. Again, me and my wife, we both have lived in Carol Stream for our entire lives. I'm raising 2 children here in town who go to school here and participate in more programs than I can even count at this point. We all love the Park District, and we hope to continue to be able to serve the residents here in Carol Stream. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to our audience for being with us this evening. Please join me in thanking the candidates. Our democracy thrives when all of us are engaged. Attending or watching a candidate forum is an excellent way to be empowered to join discussions on local issues and to make your voice heard on Election Day. We hope that each and every one of you will vote and will inspire your family, friends, and neighbors to do the same. Information on how and when to vote can be found at vote411.org and on the League of Women Voters of Wheaton website and social media. We hope you will take advantage of early voting, which started on March 17th, since Election Day, which is a week from tomorrow, April 1st, falls during spring break. Recording of this forum will be found on the League of Women Voters website. Good night, and to the candidates, best of luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you.